Hey folks, this is Rhykker with another Sombra Overwatch ARG video, the alternate reality game where we solve a bunch of puzzles to unravel the Sombra mystery. In our last video, we left off with some direct communication from Sombra, basically telling us that more would come in about a week, so this week, early this week, and she was true to her word. We've got a bunch of new emails to pour through, as well as a hidden puzzle to solve. Now for this week, I'll be splitting up our Sombra coverage into two videos. This one, where we'll go over the full puzzle / code breaking stuff. And as always, in our videos here, we go fully in depth, go step by step to show all the solutions, and explain it all in a way that you can reproduce these steps, you can follow along and solve these puzzles too. As for tomorrow's video, that will cover all the emails, the story stuff, the lore, the backstory, so that we can dive more into what's going on with Sombra, Lumerico, and what's going to happen on November 1st. Now here's the too long didn't watch version of this video, without any spoilers. We got a new hidden clue, a new hidden puzzle, and once we've solved it, we arrive at a mysterious command prompt that we don't really know how to use yet. We don't know its purpose yet. It seems to have some significance, and odds are something new will come, so stay tuned in the future. That'll give us some guidance on what to do with that command prompt. Alright, on to the full story now. And we're going to start with a bit of an explanation of a robots.txt file. This is something that most websites have. They place it in their root directory. So for instance, you can go to playoverwatch.com/robots.txt and you can access that website's robots file. Now these files are used to give web robots specific instructions. And a web robot is simply a software application that runs some automated scripts over the internet. The most common being something that we call a web crawler. And a web crawler is just a web robot that basically its purpose in life is to browse the internet and index websites for search engine use. So for instance, when you Google something, you're searching through the list of things that have been indexed by web crawlers. The general use of a robots.txt file is to instruct a web robot to not crawl a certain page or even a certain website. Let's say there's private information there, or for whatever reason the website owner doesn't want that page indexed by a search engine. You know, sort of a move along, nothing to see here kind of thing. So the Lumerico site has a robots.txt file which you can access via lumerico.mx/robots.txt. And this isn't new, it has existed since last week. I didn't cover it in last week's video because it didn't seem relevant at the time, but now some relevance is being given to it. When you go to that site, when you see that txt file, it says allow omnix. Typically in a robots.txt file you would see disallow something something, and it's generally to prevent certain robots from having access to the site. There are different kinds of web robots. Now in this case, the Omnix are the robots of the Overwatch universe, so this command is basically saying that robots, or Omnix rather, are allowed to access the site. So this gets us thinking along the lines of maybe trying to access an omnix.txt, since they're, kind of making that connection between robots and Omnix. And sure enough, if you try omnix.txt, that same domain, but omnix.txt, there is an omnix.txt file. And again, this page existed from last week, but when you accessed it then, it would say allow ? And then on the second line, allow 3 ? But as of October 25th, that updated. Now it says allow Tzolkin, second line, allow imix chimichangas, etc, etc. Now while this may seem like an encoded message at first, this actually isn't gibberish. Tzolkin does not refer to the author of Lord of the Rings, but is actually the name of the Mayan Calendar. Quick aside here, why the Mayan Calendar? Well, the Mayans were the indigenous people of Central America, including southern Mexico, so Sombra may be just calling back to her roots. Regardless, here is what the Mayan calendar looks like. As you can see, the names of the days appear to be used in that second line of the omnix.txt file. You can see day 1 on the calendar is imix, day 2 is Chikchan, and the 7th day is Manik. Now you'll note that in this long string of Mayan days, some of them seem to be combined together. You have imix, space, then Nxtrogen and Manic are combined, before you have another space and imix again. You'll also notice that the same words, the same days, tend to repeat throughout this message. That certainly bears some significance, so let's try to work with this, and let's write this out as a string of numbers. So imix is day 1, so we start with a 1, space, then Nxtrogen is a 5, Manic is a 7, so we have 57, space, imix again, 1, and you keep doing this, and you get this string of numbers. 1, 57, 1, 51, 51, 7, etc. Okay, well, now what? Now we just have numbers. This hasn't helped, right? Well, remember that numbers and number systems differ from culture to culture. You know, Roman numerals differ from the number system we typically use today, right? And you can assume that the Mayans also use a different number system, and that's in fact the case. This right here is the Mayan number system. Now, what do you notice about this? It all seems to be lots of dots and dashes, right? Not unlike Morse code. So let's try to convert these numbers into Morse code. Call it a hunch, but we'll try it out and see where we get. We start with the number 1, which is a dot. And in Morse, a dot is the letter E. Next, we have a 5 and a 7 together, so the 5 is a dash, and the 7 is 2 dots above a dash. So let's write that out as 2 dots followed by a dash. So altogether, we'll get dash dot dot dash, which in Morse is an X. Next, we got the 1 again, which is another E. And if you keep doing this, you keep transcribing all of those numbers into Mayan numbers and then into Morse, it actually works out that each of those Morse codes are in fact letters in Morse. And when taken all together, what message do we see transcribed from Morse code? Execute attack. Now, the last time we got a message similar to this, it was take control, which allowed us to find a hidden page on the Lumerico site under a take control subdomain. So we can try the same thing with this execute attack. And we go to lumerico.mx/executeattack/index.html. Index.html just tends to be the default page on most websites. And what do we find? This page here, another message from Sombra. And roughly translated from Spanish, this email says, "The moment has come. These emails expose the truth about Portero, initiated the revolt, and has convinced the people of Mexico to support our cause. Now is the time to strike. Let's turn his precious inauguration on November 1st into a grand movement against him. I need you to do one thing. Get access to the Chief of Security's email and seek some form of help in the attack. You may see them contacting Portero soon. I have changed their password to... password. Now again, we'll cover the emails in our video tomorrow, but from reading the emails, you can see that the Chief of Security is Maria Jimenez. So from that, we know that the login name should be M. Jimenez. Or Jimenez, if you want to pronounce it wrong. And this is because every login up to this point has been initial of your first name followed by your full last name. So sure enough, you tried that login name with the password that Sombra gave us, and we're able to log in. As you can see, we have a new tab now, Admin. This is the first time that we get admin access. If we click that admin tab, we see this. Gauges, charts showing energy levels, all of it animated, and we also see a command prompt. Now, all those fancy readings, those fancy animations, that's all being rendered client-side. That means that what you see is different from what I see. It's our individual computers that are rendering that, rather than the server itself. So everyone gets a different result. And what this tells us is that there can't be any deeper significance to these fancy animations with respect to solving clues. However, this command prompt at the bottom of the page does seem to suggest that it has some importance. Unfortunately, any attempt made to enter commands in it have been met with a singular message. Terminal is disconnected. The only command that seems to work is clear, and it's not clear whether that's actually intended by Blizzard. But regardless, it seems like some commands should work, and a lot of people have tried a lot of different commands. So maybe at some point in the future, Blizzard will enable certain commands to be used, or we just haven't found the right commands yet. But odds are, this isn't a closed case on this command prompt. And that's basically where we are right now, folks. Now, before we close out this video, I just want to give a bigger shout out to the Game Detectives community. I often reference them in my videos, but I feel it's been a few videos since I've given a real proper shout out. You can find the Game Detectives community on Discord, where you got tons of people, dozens to hundreds of people that are working together as a think tank to solve all these Sombra clues. That's why they're solved so quickly. If it ever comes across that I'm taking personal credit for solving any of this, that is not the case. It was only very early on in this whole thing that I was finding and solving stuff on my own, but very quickly I got left behind, and it's been this community here, this sort of crowdsourcing solutions, this awesome think tank, and I've just been doing my best to keep up with them. But these are the guys that have been on these clues, and I encourage anyone who's interested in this kind of stuff to hop onto their Discord as well. And if you do, please be either helpful or quiet. We got enough people there that are just distracting things. But these guys are crazy good code breakers. Sometimes the only explanation that we get from them is something like, oh yeah, we simply used this method. And then, because of my videos I try to reproduce every single step, it'll take me like an hour to figure out, do some research and figure out how they did that, how they solved that. But it's really cool, really exciting stuff. And I also want to give a shout out to Reddit user Charles_ with a 4 for an A, because he posted some information that helped me learn how to explain the whole Mayan Calendar Morse code thing. So that wraps up this video. Reminder, check back tomorrow for that exploration of the emails and the lore and story behind that. And check back soon, next week at the latest, for more Sombra clues and mysteries. For sure, there's going to be more coming. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch and Patreon supporters for making these videos possible. Check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Rhykkers Raiders to stay up to date on Sombra news. And it's happened. It's finally happened. The real Sombra leak has happened, folks. Here it is. You're looking at it right here, right now. While this is not 100% confirmed to be real, this looks as real as it gets, and we'll go over why exactly. But right now, folks, this is insane hype for the ARG to end in a leak. Wow. Now we've covered